John. He's our beautiful, beautiful man in the story. And we learned immediately that when they were kids, I don't know why this is a recurring theme in Japanese anime and hentai, but they both agree to marry him when they're kids. I wish this is how it happened.
I'd be married like so many times.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, we're both gonna marry him, and then it cuts to them making out, which is cool. So we learn immediately that Faye is sent off to study abroad, essentially. And in this world that we're in, it's like a very romantic, what's the word? It's very like, Victorian, yes, thank you. It's a very Victorian era, and then it cuts to the title screen. So she goes off, and when she goes off, she's like, Sophia, take care of John for me. So Sophia takes care of John, and John is this beautiful, beautiful man. I really wish that I'd
be shown in fuck.
Yeah. So she, you know, being a good maid, she takes care of him, and she takes really good care of him. I really like pausing at this point in the panel because there's this giant cock on screen, and there's just veins everywhere, and I just like awkwardly staring at it.
That's like a really hard dick.
Yeah. So John is really aroused at this point. Anyway, so she takes pretty good care of him. And then Faye comes home. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy to be home. And in whatever world, Victorian world that this is, the maids just do not wear tops. Which obviously is fucking awesome.
I think this is like, have you ever seen like The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, like when it starts getting...
Yeah.
I think this is around that time. So they brought maids over and then Japan's like, well, they just can't have tops. And they're like, all right, we'll roll with that.
And they're like, oh, she hasn't changed at all. So this guy does an excellent job drawing nipples, by the way.
Yeah, he's got some pretty decent
very
nipples.
beautiful nipples. Anyway, so she runs in. She's like, Dad, I'm so happy to see you. And her dad is busy, so she busts in. She's like, I'm home. And he's like, she's like, and he's like, and she doesn't even care. She's like, Dad, oh, it's so good to see you. I've been studying at Aunt's house for so long. And he's like, this is not the first maid I've had sex with today. And again, in whatever Japanese world this is in, this is totally normal because she's just like, geez, I wonder where John is. I should probably go check up on him. So she goes to the barn. Apparently they're hanging out in the barn, and she's like, I'm home. What's the Japanese word?
Tadaima!
And they're like, oh, hey, we were just hanging out.
By the way, yo, check out John's like rad like shark bite. Like I don't know what happened, but this dude is so awesome. He just like bit by a shark, fucks mates in the barn.
And Faye, you know, Sophia runs up and she's like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Oh, it's so good. Let's make out. I love hentai, by the way. We're a pretty big fan. This is a recurring thing. So John's a badass, and he's like, welcome home. Oni-san, hold me. So they just start taking off Faye's clothes, which is awesome, by the way. So again, her boobs are fucking phenomenal. And they just take her, you know, he lays her down, because this guy is a fucking boss. He lays her down in the hay and just goes to town on her. And this is a really weird scene. Oh, yeah. Right here. Because you're, like, fapping to this, and it just holds this scene for a good, like, 10 seconds. And you see his butthole, like, it's a beautiful butthole. It's a good looking butthole. And you're fapping or whatever you're doing to this scene, and you're just like,
you know, you're sitting there, you're stroking yourself, having a good time, and this guy's butthole is just
bouncing.
And it's staring at you, this brown eye, you got like eye contact, you know, but you're sitting there and you're like, that's a, you know, this guy is good use of coloring, like his butthole looks really good. The animation's pretty solid on here. No?
And of course, Faye is loving every second of John's deliciousness. So she passes out afterwards, and Sophia's like, God, I wish I had some of that butthole. and John he's a good guy, so he takes care of Sophia as well. And Sophia's enjoying herself there, having sex in the hay. And all of a sudden, the dad's like, "Where the fuck is my daughter?" So he's looking around for her, and Sophia looks up. She's like,